room.
Boom! In the room.
How are you, James? How are you? Where have you been this week? Have you been busy?
Nowhere particularly interesting, just doing lots of virtuals, but I'm very excited. Next week, I'm going to be speaking to 1,500 people live in a room again, if you remember what that was like. So that's quite exciting. What about yourself, Maria? How's your week been?
Do you know, it's flown by. I can't believe it's Thursday. It's been so busy. I thought I've got an extra day before we've got Speaking Business TV, and it's like just gone by. And what's wonderful is the market's busy. You know, speakers are busy, bureaus are busy, stuff is happening. It's wonderful. I'm just fingers crossed it stays that way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the future is bright. The future is orange, as they say. So today we have a wonderful guest talking to us all about LinkedIn. Incredibly powerful tool for us as speakers. Today on the show, we have a LinkedIn profile expert who has helped companies big and small to demystify the platform and take them from being anonymous to be highly engaged. Regularly ranked by LinkedIn Search in the top 5 profiles in the world, he is also a speaker, workshop facilitator, and author. He spreads the LinkedIn word near and far, and I would like to introduce you to Tony K. Silva.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Tony. How lovely to have you here. One of the top 5. That's a great aspiration, isn't it? Yeah. Tony, tell me, when did you first get involved with LinkedIn?
I joined. I wasn't one of the first million, I'm afraid. I can't claim that. But I joined it back in 2006. But it was around about 2008 that I actually started using it properly.
Okay, so not that long then, really. Although it started in 2000, was it 2003 LinkedIn started, was it?
May 2003. So it's just over 18 years old. And I kind of my tipping point was being old at the age of 48 and being made redundant. Therefore, I had to start using it rather than just being on it.
Because I know you did write a book, how LinkedIn solved my midlife crisis, or it was something along those lines.
Yeah, that literally is now eventually hit that rather large company called Amazon has now got it on their system. It's taken a little while to get out there with a few complications, but yes, it certainly did, because at the age of 48, I was made redundant and I didn't know what to do. And I was told 2 things: go networking and start using LinkedIn, not just being on it, which was kind of very, very true. So many people I meet are on LinkedIn.
And when did you move from then kind of using LinkedIn as a way for yourself, for your own networking, to kind of building, I guess, the business that you're kind of known for now, which is advising other companies, other experts in terms of how they use LinkedIn?
Yeah, so say 2008, I went networking, and while I was out networking, I met a gentleman who was basically going all over Europe, training people in head offices. And I approached him at a networking event after he'd done a fantastic presentation and said, "Could you look at my profile, please? And by the way, I'm sponsored by Job Seekers Allowance, so I can't afford to pay you." And he literally took me under his wings. He taught me all he knew about it, but also put me in contact with a bunch of LinkedIn trainers based all over the world, which I'm still part of that network. And that just accelerated things through for me. It helped me find a job. It also gave me the tools and the backup with this network to actually know what's going on LinkedIn, mostly before most other people do. We get fed information, we beta test their products, and part of these groups then feed that information to us. So we're always right at the cutting edge of it.
So if you took a look at your clients, then would you say the majority of them companies that want their executives trained, or is it thought leaders that are wanting to understand how they use this tool and this platform well?
It's a complete range, because ultimately there's about 800 million people currently on LinkedIn. 33 million of those accounts are in the UK, which means most businesses have a presence on LinkedIn. And that can be from the startup through to the globals. And my clients completely cover that. I work with startups, I work with a global bank, and a lot of people in between. It can be, as you say, executives. I tend to speak and network a lot with partners and sort of senior people. And quite often when you work with them, they say, well, okay, could you come in and do some workshops for our teams, because they need this knowledge as well. But I mean, industry-wise, I mean, one thing you should never do when you go networking is say that dreaded line, somebody or anybody who's interested in what I do, because you need a good slap if you ever say that. But actually, I could say it because, 33 million people is my potential target audience. And as I say, so industries and even levels in companies sometimes just don't matter, because ultimately you're both on LinkedIn, I assume. Yes?
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
this is on LinkedIn Live. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you joined LinkedIn, did they send you a manual on how to use it?
No.
Unfortunately not.
No. Right. And we know about the fabled algorithm, don't we? We heard about that and how it changes things. So I call that the rule book. Did they send you a copy of that recently?
No, but I'm hoping you know what's going on at the moment with LinkedIn, because this is the $60 million question. What is currently going on LinkedIn? And I've got my notepad at the ready.
Well, I say that is a problem for most people I meet on LinkedIn, is that they're on it, they never have the manual, they haven't got the current rules to play by, so they're having a go, and they're getting a certain amount of information from various different sources. But the LinkedIn algorithm, it's a bit of a beast, because unless you know what it's doing, you could quite accidentally fall into its clutches and find that you're actually in trouble. Now, when I say in trouble, what we need to do when we do posting on LinkedIn is to get as much reach for our post as possible, get as many people to see it. So there's a list of things you can do that will help you increase your reach on LinkedIn. It's about that big. There's a list of things that you should avoid doing on LinkedIn, and it's about that big. So it's a lot easier to fall into the trap of doing something that you shouldn't do. Now, a lot of people during the pandemic start using LinkedIn and they hammered it. And unfortunately, what they didn't realize is that when you post on LinkedIn, LinkedIn analyze it, and they then put it out to between 2.5% to 12.5% of your network to have a look at initially. So it's a fairly small batch. So if you haven't got a massive bunch of connections, yeah, there could be an issue there. But that batch needs to actually do something with it. And then that's the problem, is a lot of people are connected to people that don't actually get engaged that often on LinkedIn. But the algorithm is just doing various different things in the background. And really, unless you know that, doing more than one post a day, which a lot of people were doing, I was seeing people putting out posts literally 2 or 3 an hour. When they look at it, as I say, and they analyze it, they put it out there. If you put out a second one, they may actually stop the reach of the first one completely, but they're certainly going to slow it down when they look at the second one. So by putting out a second post in the same working day, you're actually crippling the potential reach of the first post. There is a sweet spot. It's a bit of a trade secret. It's 6 hours. Okay, so about 6 hours in between posts will basically take the reach issues away. But if you do it before then, you may completely ruin the reach on the first one. And it's things like that, people just putting out stuff because they thought it was the right thing to do, because they didn't know any better. They didn't have the rule book. And we just saw an awful lot of traffic over that period of time. So how do you increase your reach on LinkedIn? Probably what you want to know. Well, actually, some of it is...
that was my next question. You're telepathic.
And
that's really interesting, because...
I'm sitting in the office behind you.
Yes, I wondered what that was. So that's interesting what you said, though, coming back to that point you made, because I've made that mistake. I've put more than one post out thinking it's the same as Facebook or other platforms where the more the better. So that's really interesting. Thank you. Yes. Okay. How do I increase my reach? I have my pencil ready.
Well, the stuff that is actually hasn't really changed with the latest algorithm. It's always been there. And when you do a post, you have little icons along the bottom. So you can add images, you can add a video, and you can add what they call a document. Okay. By adding an image to a post, you'll increase its reach by 10 to 20%. By adding a video to it, you can add 20 to 40%. And if you add a document, you can add between 40 and 60% to the reach. Pretty straightforward stuff to do. But of course, there are rules around it. Images, yeah, pretty much straightforward. I would always say to people, use an image. Why wouldn't you get an extra reach? But a picture doesn't always paint 1,000 words. So you might have to add some words in some software onto it just to let people know what it is when it goes through their feed. Video, yeah, video. We all love video. Some of us even like doing video and don't mind appearing in front of a camera. A lot of people don't. But there are rules around that as well. And 2 minutes. Once you go beyond 2 minutes, the reach starts to drop away. By the time you get to 10, it's virtually disappeared. So it's short, sharp. It's still that attention span thing that we suffer from. So I tell people, keep it a minute-ish, maybe even less than that. But then there's another problem with that. You see videos in your feed, I'm sure. Can you hear them? No, they're defaulted to mute by LinkedIn. So unless the person at the other end viewing it is actually going to go in and turn the volume up, they're not going to get the benefit of what you're saying. So again, with my clients, I say, you don't want to be that person at the networking event who has the volume turned up and it blares out on your phone. So you're going to mute it. Subtitles, absolutely. You have to have subtitles on videos these days. Therefore, you're getting your message out to everybody, because they can not only hear it if they are in an area where they can listen to it, they can also see it if they're not. And there is plenty of software out there, and I use a particular one which gives me 10 minutes of free video every month. I do 10 1-minute videos. It doesn't cost me a penny, but I'm getting them out there, and it's really, really useful. It's getting the extra reach.
What about in terms of, so that's in terms of the posting and the on the kind of feed and everything. What about the bits? Something when I started using LinkedIn, I wasn't using it so much for posting a lot of content on. I was using it more in terms of the connecting with people, having conversations with people in the messaging more than anything else, and just kind of building relationships and having conversations there. When it comes to that side, the bit that's kind of more hidden, what would your top tips be for speakers and experts and people that are wanting to use it for that, as in the more what we think the more traditional networking side?
Okay, so yeah, messaging first line connections. Start using the audio clip version of it. You can record audio. Now, I don't know about you, but I sometimes have messages come through to me, and I don't really quite understand what they mean by the words that they've used. And certainly if they use an exclamation mark, I'm never too sure what they are trying to emphasize by doing it. But if you go into there and where you normally would type in your text, on the right-hand side, you'll see an icon which looks very much like a microphone. Yeah, click on that. You've now got a 60-second audio clip that you can send to that person. But let's go one step further. Go to the other end of the message bar and click on that. It opens up a little sub-menu. And right in the middle at the top, it says video. Yeah, send them a video message. Yeah. That's far more powerful, because ultimately, I can now completely understand what they're saying, because I can see them as well as hear them. And it's a bit disruptive. A lot of people don't see it. And actually, if you're messaging someone, because I don't see it very often, it's also a good way of getting yourself noticed. So yeah, but it's been there. It's been around for a long time. But yeah, did you get an email about it telling you it was there? No, you didn't, unfortunately. But I use it regularly, and it's disruptive because people just don't see them. Don't have a video message to me. And then, of course, the latest, you can actually set up a video call with someone directly from your message feed now as well.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so what you'll find in the top corner of your message, you'll see a little camera icon. You click on that, and it goes into a client, which is a LinkedIn native client. You can also choose to use Zoom, and you also use Teams. If the person's online, you can tell because the green dot is full, then you can send them a message and they get a message straight away, and then you can jump on a call straight away with them. Or you also have the option to schedule it for later as well. That's very interesting because obviously LinkedIn's owned by Microsoft. Teams is owned by Microsoft. Yeah, they may be trampling on each other's toes there to a certain degree, but I think that's really interesting development that's happened in the last couple of months.
So most people are probably using LinkedIn for free, but then there's this other thing, different tool. Sales Navigator is one I use a lot, which kind of making that transition from just doing kind of basic networking to now using it more as a research tool for looking for opportunities and potential new connections. Any tips around that particular tool, the Sales Navigator side, how potentially maybe speakers could be using a tool like that?
Sales Navigator is fantastic. It's a brilliant product. The issue I have with it is it's extremely complex. It takes a lot of time to master, but also a lot of time to actually use it to get the information you need out of it. And for a lot of people I talk to, don't have the time, don't have the resources to actually spend the time doing it. And like yourself, I'm a public speaker, and I go on stage, and I did this last week in Brighton. I talked live in Brighton last week with real people with bodies. It was fantastic. I just said to them, it's fantastic that LinkedIn's available, but you put a search in. So I often say to them, what's the ideal person you'd be looking at? And HR director's quite hot, and it has been for a long time. You put it in. I should put it up on the screen behind me. I think it was 2.7 million last week when I put it up there, and I dangle my little car keys. This is a red Italian sports car. It's yours if you can go through that list for me. Of course, I'm joking because you can't. But I mean, if you go into really cheesy 80 salesman talk, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I'm going to do to you now. If I could show you a way of turning that 2.7 million into about 50 in, let's say, 90 seconds, would that be of interest? And that's what I do. And for most of my clients, that information is really useful to them, because they put a search in, because people don't search very effectively. They get these massive numbers, it puts them off, but I've shown them how to literally, in less than 2 minutes, get down to a list of maybe 10, 15 people. Yes, Sales Navigator will give you far more information if you've got the time to actually use it. But for a lot of people, just doing that light touch within the free version will give them some really, really accurate results. Go and look at the person's profile, see if you want to connect to them.
The one I would love to say, I haven't figured out how to get Sales Navigator to do it yet. Maybe you know a workaround on this, or it is already available. I kind of have to do it a bit more manually. Is when I want to find my competitors, i.e. other speakers, maybe speaking the same topic as me, all the people that they know who are their first connections, who have certain job titles at companies with certain sizes. And I have tried for the life of me to try and do that with Sales Navigator in the advanced search, and I can't. Is there a way of doing that, or do I still have to do it old school and go sit and troll through their profiles?
Yeah, it's kind of old school, or just actually I might get more accurate searches on the standard version just by using Boolean search. Again, because a lot of people don't even know what that means, and I get some very blank faces when I mention it to people. But I said to them, even if you put that actually into a search in the standard version and use the Boolean side of it, you can get some really, really targeted searches.
Interesting.
Again, Navigator is a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
But for most people, it may be £88 a month that they're not getting the full advantage of, and it's taking them an awful lot of time to get a bit frustrated with it. As it sounds like you might be.
Yeah. So there you go, everyone. You heard it here first. That search bar is very powerful, the free one as well. Maria, what's your take? How are you using LinkedIn, Maria?
I love LinkedIn. I use it a lot, actually, and I encourage speakers to use it. And I find I'm amazed at how many people just put up a profile and then do nothing with it and don't develop the connection. So I think it's fantastic. The things I love is that if you connect with someone, you never lose them, because you're always connected. Whereas if you've got somebody in your database, you can lose them because they move company, but this way you don't. You keep up with what's going on. I think there's some really good content on there. And the people who tend to be on LinkedIn are there. It's about business as opposed to sort of sharing cat videos, although I do like the odd cat video and the dog videos, so that's all good. But I do get so frustrated at times when I don't know if I'm always doing the best. Like, for example, we've got this not new anymore, but we've got creator mode that came out, and then you've got the standard mode. I didn't move to creator mode because I didn't understand the benefits of it. Maybe you could give us a bit of insight into that, Tony, actually.
Yeah, creator mode. I don't know what to say about it, really. It came in again. Did you get an email letting you know? No. And I'd have a lot of fun with it, to be honest with you, because if I'm in a group of people, I say, who's got creator mode? And okay, and increasingly more people put their hands up. And I said, well, actually, some of you got it, you just don't know you got it. And I said, well, get your phones out, go into it. On your dashboard, all up right at the top, it says creator mode off. Then just turn it on. And therefore, you've got it now. Analytics show that what it was brought in for, it has not really achieved. For most LinkedIn trainers, they've now got it defaulted as off. The cover story, I kind of liked it. The little video behind your head that you could do if people knew what to do with it. So that you go onto my profile, you see a little 3-second clip of me muted doesn't mean an awful lot. You don't know. You got to click on my head, then select play it, and then there is a full-blown 30-second video with audio. But most people don't know that. So I quite like it. Yet again, it's slightly faulty. 5 hashtags, great, super. They're not clickable. Again, what's the point? And actually, when I look at someone's profile, I want to see about them. The about section to me is quite valuable. It's an area I do a lot of training around getting it right. So to have their feature section, which not everyone's got, some people don't even know it exists, and then the activities, for me, doesn't work. So yeah, creator mode, the best thing about it is the word mode. Yeah, you can turn it off.
Love that. What do you think of LinkedIn Live, which is what we're doing at this very moment in time?
LinkedIn Live, yeah, again, it's a great tool. Engagement levels are not too clever on it. And as I say, some of the rules around where you had to qualify to get it, they don't seem to be applying anymore. And it's all a bit random. As I say, I think the figure I checked earlier, engagement levels about 3.6%. So it's not high, it's not massive. But like yourself, if you repurpose it, then it can become quite useful. But yeah, it's I've applied for it, I haven't got it.
Oh, that's crazy. Top 5% profile,
I
and
know,
you haven't got LinkedIn Live.
And I was speaking to a lady the other day who said that she's been applied for it as well. She's also a speaker, husband applied for it, got it in 2 weeks, and his profile is a mediocre, to be nice.
That's
So
crazy.
one of the criticism I'm hearing kind of start to get leveled at LinkedIn, and you kind of touched on it earlier there, is if someone posts something, obviously only a very small percentage of their audience or their connections will initially see that in their feed. And then if it performs a bit better, gets better level of engagement, then a little bit more, and so on. And one thing we're kind of starting to see a little, where we already see it on YouTube, which is very frustrating, where I love sometimes just going on somewhere and just seeing something that I just wouldn't have expected, something just in from a completely different space, different world, different discipline, different idea. And so what I end up having to do, though, is I had to have to log myself out of YouTube because the algorithm is just funneling me into wanting me to show me certain types of content. Likewise for Facebook, I rarely use Facebook now because it just felt you were just getting channeled into a very small and smaller space because the people that understood how to use the algorithm, it was their stuff that was just getting focused. Is that a worry for you with LinkedIn in terms of you just becoming this little groupthink box?
I'm not worried about it because I know the rules. But the what you probably don't know is how many LinkedIn feeds do you think you have?
One feed?
No idea.
Well, the one main feed, but it's being algorithms moving it.
You got 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you've got your activity, your posts.
No, just normal feed that you're looking at as you go onto the homepage.
Got 3.
You got 3. Literally, simply, if you just go and refresh the page, it will give you a different feed. But also, the algorithm on the app is completely and utterly different, and the feed on that will be different as well. So you've actually got potentially 3 lots of feeds you can look at. But here's a really nice little tidbit: is that on average, people spend about 30 seconds scrolling down their feed, get to about maybe sort of 12 or 13 posts and go away and do something else. If you continue going for up to about 25 to 30, all of a sudden you'll start to see people, first line connections you haven't heard from for a while. They're not been in your feed because you only see 10 to 15% of your connections in your feed. You think, oh God, yeah, I haven't seen anything from Maria for ages. I'd like to get it back in my feed. Well, you can. If you engage with that person twice in an 8-day period, and that could be going and commenting on that piece you've seen, messaging them, sharing it, LinkedIn will then put them into that 10 to 15% mix. So you can now start to mold your actual feed as well.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I like that.
It does feel though with LinkedIn, if I compare it with other platforms, and later on we'll maybe talk about tool of the week, the algorithm, I know it is changing constantly. It doesn't feel as smart as the Google algorithm or some of the other kind of video-based algorithms at times. It just feels like a little bit more, it's almost like kind of manual stuff kind of going on behind the scenes. I'm interested, like, how often is the algorithm changing for LinkedIn?
It has a major one about every 6 months.
Every 6 months.
But in between, they tinker.
Yeah.
So if you go into LinkedIn every now and again, you'll find it very glitchy in a certain part of it, and you're going, well, is it my computer? What's going on? No, it's because they do it live. So they're actually playing around in the background with the actual piece of software that you're using. So it can get glitchy, indeed, very glitchy sometimes.
So,
any other tips you'd like to leave us with before we share with people your offer that you have and how to connect with you, Tony?
What other tips really at the moment in time?
Have we squeezed you dry yet?
No, I think it's nothing outrageous. It's a consistency. Okay. All right. Okay. So one thing that again you probably would have heard this, and a lot of rumors on LinkedIn I often debunk. But this one's very real. The reach on articles is pathetic. Okay. So people will stop doing articles. It doesn't need to be. Okay. And the secret about an article is, yes, it does get very limited reach, but actually, it's a positioning document. Positioning yourself as an expert in your field. The average sweet spot is about 500 to 700 words, so it's not a big piece either. But quite simply, again, remembering not to do too much in a day. Do your article. Make sure it's engaging. Ask questions. Put some pictures in there. Don't just put a load of blocky text because I'm going to fall asleep reading it. The following day, go in and cut and paste the URL into a post. And the wording I use is, as you probably haven't seen my recent article, because basically you didn't, here's a link to it. And because it goes out with posts, it gets far more reach on it. You get far more engagement. And I did it deliberately recently. I've put one out there where I didn't do that at all. And I've gone in and looked at the stats, and they're atrocious. The previous months where I did that, the following day I posted about it, yeah, it soared. I got lots and lots of engagement from an article which normally would just die off the end of a pier.
Yeah. The article one is interesting. I think. Sorry, Maria.
Sorry, you've led me to another question there. Actually, sorry, James, I'll come back to you. See, now that I'm thinking of other things, with that link that links to an article, what about links that take you off LinkedIn? Are those a problem? Yeah,
they are.
Okay, thought they might be.
They keep changing the rules. So you probably heard, probably last year, it was put a little note, say, for links, see comments, and you put it in the first comment. And the problem with that was, if you did a decent post and you got engagement, the first comment disappeared and people couldn't see it, and therefore they wouldn't bother scrolling up to find it. A bit pointless. Then it was, okay, do your post it, go back and edit it straight away and insert the link there. That got around the issue. That doesn't work anymore. What they're saying now is that you're going to get about a 10% reduction in reach, but the best way of doing it is to insert it in the post originally. But I found a way around that as well. But that really is, that's my £1,000 ticket. You can't have that.
So talking about offers, tell us, where's the best place for people to go to learn more about you and your work? And I know you've got something called the LinkedIn scorecards that we want to hear about as well. Where should they go and learn about all of those things? Tell us a little about the scorecard.
Okay, so the K in the middle of my name is there for a reason. There is only one Tony K Silver in Google and in LinkedIn. So I'm fairly easy to find. So that is really useful. The scorecard, that is, I'm sure you know Daniel Priestley, and it is his little toy that he brought in a couple of years ago, and I was one of the early adopters, as I know him quite well. And it's a lovely little lead magnet, if you want to use that sort of terminology. It's a series of questions where people answer, they get a score, and then by the score, they then get what potentially they should be doing. So if you score quite low, then, pick up the phone and speak to Tony. It might put them at another product on my product ladder. So I think the scorecard is really, really a fantastic lead magnet. It's highly moldable. It's a really useful thing put together, and it's disruptive. I don't see many of them, so it's quite disruptive. And I like things that are disruptive. So another question to you two: when's the last time you saw a Kudos go through your feed?
Say again.
When's the last time you saw a Kudos go through your feed?
Cannot remember.
Maria's blank. She don't think she knows what it is.
No, I don't. No.
A LinkedIn Kudos. Right. LinkedIn Kudos is basically a digital thank you card. Okay, so if you have a look in your feed later, you might see one from me.
Right.
What it is, there are 10 templates, but the great thing about it is the graphics aren't fantastic, but they're okay. They're quite sweet. I can mold and change the wording in it, and when I send it to you, when you accept it, it goes out in your feed, and your connections and your followers can potentially see that I've given you Kudos. And because it's disruptive, because you haven't seen them, not many people see them. But the other advantage to it is it goes out on my feed, and all my followers and connections can see that I've given it to you as well. So it has a double-edged effect. So it's really quite useful. And because you don't see much of them, it's quite powerful as well.
I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And we've just had a message here from Ian Bobrick. Thank you, Tony. Very insightful and some useful tips for getting my post more exposure. Lovely to see you, Ian. Haven't heard from you for ages. There you go. How nice is that? Reconnecting.
Yeah. Good.
So you were saying that the LinkedIn scorecard, and also you mentioned the book, How LinkedIn Solved My Midlife Crisis and How It Can Grow Your Business, available on Amazon. I'm past my midlife crisis, but hey, yes, I understand. And do you have any tip or tool for us as well? I mean, we're literally taking everything we can from you today.
Trying to get everything out of me for,
I know.
Okay. Company page. Have you got a company page?
Yes.
How many followers have you got? Approximately.
Very few,
not that many
on the company page.
Okay, my tip is don't bother posting from it, because
oh really
3% of your followers will see what you post. So if you've only got a few hundred followers, 3% of a few hundred followers is 3 dogs and a cat. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Company pages, they like many of those things is a place that an idea went to die with company pages. But I think one of the great things, and it's been fantastic having you on, is just LinkedIn is just such a huge beast in its own right. And we didn't even talk, actually my most favorite thing about LinkedIn, which I think you have to be a paid member, is LinkedIn Learning. The courses, which some of them a little bit kind of broad, but if you want to get a good broad introduction to a topic, I really like LinkedIn Learning there as well. So
you get I think you get 28 30-day free trial even with the free version of LinkedIn. And actually, if you've got the licenses and certification section on LinkedIn, you can do some of their courses and add those to your licenses and certification, which I've done for a bit of fun. There's a massive collection of courses on there that you can take, which is useful. Because it used to be called Linda in the old days, isn't it? Gordon, that's right. That shows how old I am.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I remember that. Brilliant. James, you've got a tip or a tool for us as well, haven't you, this week?
Yeah, so we've just been talking about algorithms and things, and I love LinkedIn, but I think the smartest algorithm that I've seen just now in terms of social media tools and things is with TikTok. And I signed up for TikTok when it first started. Someone told me about it, and it just looked like lots of kids posting stuff, and I didn't really pay much attention to it, and then kind of deleted it on the phone. And then I started having a conversation with a friend of mine, David J.P. Phillips, who's a fantastic speaker. He has a TED Talk video, which has got millions and millions of views. And he started using for posting just very simple tips every day on his topic, which is around communication skills and self-leadership. And I think he now has about 1.8 million followers, about 16 million views or something. But it's a completely different audience from the LinkedIn world. People are going onto TikTok for different reasons. But if part of your mission not everyone has this mission as a speaker, but if part of your mission is to introduce a newer generation to the topic that you speak on and connect with folks in different countries in different ways, not just the people that are going to book you as a keynote speaker, then I think it's actually a really great tool. So that's kind of way I'm using. I'm just kind of using it we're posting about twice a day, pieces of content there. And actually, it's really fun. We're trying out different things, and it's a kind of no stress tool. You can just do it all on your phone. You don't need any particularly fancy tools for it. So that's my tool of the week is TikTok.
You are such a rebel, James. We're talking about LinkedIn, and you bring TikTok in. You're as bad as Tony. You two like to disrupt, don't you?
I'd like to throw one more tip in, if I may, if I've got time.
Go. Yes.
Because it is very much on from the social media. And we know that LinkedIn keeps trying to adopt social media because Microsoft want to keep, and it doesn't work most of the time. So we have hashtags on LinkedIn. There are now very clear rules around hashtags on LinkedIn. So those of you that are not doing them, and those of you that are putting on more than 5, you naughty people, because you're immediately getting reduction in reach upon the post. So the sweet spot, or not even the sweet spot, the rules 3 to 5. Okay, 3 to 5 only. Don't tag every single person and their dog, because unless 50% of those people engage with your post, then you'll get a reduction in reach. And if you tag someone into a post and they remove themselves, it will completely disrupt your reach. So yeah, tagging and hashtags, be very careful how you use them.
Oh, such good advice. This has been brilliant. I've got 3 pages of notes, Tony, and I will be coming to you for some paid consultations as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Right, I think we can go with our closing music, shall we, James? Are we ready to go?
Hit it.
Hit it.